Thank you for going over this stuff with me. The lesson we're going to be going over is food labels. The biggest thing is all of us take it for advantage stuff about the food we eat. And the biggest thing that we need to learn is how to pay attention to our healthy choices. I've been doing this for 14 years, and the hardest thing for anybody to pay attention to is nutrition. With this, we're going to identify the amounts of nutrients, calories, and serving size on nutrition facts labels, explain how to use the 5 to 20% guidelines, compare food labels, and recognize the nutrition facts label, which is based on 2,000 calories. To better understand the food label as another tool to follow our dietary guidelines and the food guide pyramid. Quick history behind there is in 1906, the Federal Food and Drug Act and the Federal Meat Inspection Act authorized the government to regulate safety of quality of food. In 1913, the Gould Amendment required food packages to state the quantity of contents. In 1938, the FDA replaces the 1906 Act, which requires the label of every processed packaged food contain the name, net weight, ingredients, and the name and address of the manufacturer. In 1973, the FDA issues regulations requiring nutrition labeling on food containing one or more added nutrients, along with its properties. 1992 starts becoming more standardized, and in 95 it is finally standardized. Now, enough boring stuff. Now into the meat and potatoes. If you follow along in the handouts you have, the first one goes into how the food label breaks down. The first section in there is your serving size and your servings per container, which we'll go a little bit more into that later on. The second one is your calories and calories from fat. And you find calories from fat by dividing the total calories from fat by the total calories on the container, and that gives you your percentage. The third section is your percent of your daily value, so how much one serving contributes to your recommended intake. Fourth section is your vitamin and minerals, and the most common ones are your vitamin A, vitamin C, iron, and calcium. And the fifth one breaks down the percent daily value based on a 2,000 calorie and a 2,500 calorie diet. The second handout, read it before you eat it, which is telling you how to go into more detail on the food label. Your 5% is low, 20% is high. You need to get less fats, so you want stuff to be within the 5% and not in the 20% range. And your carbohydrates, you need to get a lot, so you want it to be in the 20% range, not the 5% range. And you kind of base it from there. Daily value is for a 2,000 calorie diet per person should consume less than 65 grams of fat, 20 grams of saturated fat, 300 milligrams of cholesterol, 2,400 milligrams of sodium, 300 grams of total carbohydrates, and 25 grams of fiber. This is listed on every nutrition facts label at the bottom. Trying to compare stuff is really hard, and we get confused a lot with just because we think it's healthier doesn't necessarily mean it's better for us than some other items. If you compare vegetarian chili versus pepperoni pizza versus pork loin that's been broiled, yes, the vegetarian chili has less fat, but it has a high level of sodium in there. And ironically enough, so between your total fat, the vegetarian chili, then the pork loin, then the pizza. If you're looking at your carbohydrates, it goes your pork loin, then your chili, then the pizza. But if you're looking at your vitamins, ironically enough, the pepperoni pizza has more vitamins than the other two combined. So it's really hard to look at that and get in the mindset that just because they say it's healthy doesn't necessarily mean it is. When you're looking at the food ingredients, it's listed from largest quantity to the smallest quantity. So the biggest thing you don't want on there is you don't want sodium or salt to be one of your highest ones. Same thing with your sugars. You want your natural ingredients to be in the front. So like if you're looking at marmalade jelly, that one has sugar at the front. But certain crackers, you got the flour in the front and the salt is at the way end. and that's better for you. You also want to kind of steer away from juices because it's not the pure form. Most juices aren't. We want to choose the foods you need. Choose more whole grain foods, whole fruit or pieces of fruit, dark green and other or orange vegetables, dried beans. They're all good for you. But you want to make sure you have enough of your dairy, like your milk, low fat or fat free, and lean or low fat protein foods. These foods are nutrient rich in vitamins and minerals and have fewer calories. If you look on your third handout, that breaks down your vegetables, your fruits, and your seafood. And these are the most three common things that don't have a calorie breakdown on there or your nutrition information, because you usually buy it fresh. And you can't really put a sticker on every piece of fruit or every piece of seafood you buy. If you look at your fourth handout, it goes into how much do you eat, serving sizes, and how to kind of relate them together. You want to make sure you have fixed amounts of food containing certain amounts of nutrients, and the amount of nutrients you get depends on how much food you eat. When you think about common measures, a common way to make sure you're getting the right amount of food, you can either use measuring cups or simple stuff like 1 slice of bread. There's really no way to measure that but a slice. Or 1 ounce of cereal, or 1 to 3 ounces of meat. And the easiest way to do that is by coming up with stuff that's about that size, which is what is on your fourth handout. 1 cup is equated to a baseball, or 1 ounce of bread is the size of a CD. 3 ounces of meat is a deck of cards, or a mouse, or even your fist balled up. So you can kind of equate stuff like that. Also, 2 9-volt batteries is a serving of cheese, because you want 2 cups of fruit, 2.5 cups of vegetables, 3 cups of milk or dairy group a day, 5.5 ounces of meat, and 6 ounces of your grains to have a nutritious diet. And the thing we love the most, the sugars, we want to do sparingly. You still need them in your diet, but you want to make sure it's sparing. Pretty much, we identified the amounts of nutrients, calories, and serving sizes. We explained how to use the 5 to 20% guideline. We compared food labels, and we recognized that nutrition fact labels are based on a 2,000 calorie diet per day. Being able to understand that the food label is an essential tool for us to be able to follow the food guide pyramid and put it into use, and follow our dietary guidelines. Thank you for your, I can't say attendance, but thank you for paying attention to the topic.